it's me, Jordan from the Force 18 YouTube channel, and today I'm gonna be starting a new series, which you're watching the first episode right now. And this series is park review, as you may already know, and I will be reviewing parks that I have been to. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been to 13 parks, but I'm only doing 11 because I don't remember much about the first 2 parks I've been to. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is the first episode. It's on Arches National Park. So I've been to Arches twice, and both times I got to see pretty much a good chunk of the park. It's a fairly small park, so you can pretty much see a lot of things within a day of visiting Arches National Park, but I do not recommend spending a single day in Arches. I would spend multiple days exploring multiple different parts of the park on different days. So my first day, I went to Arches National Park. On my first trip, I went to Balanced Rock first. We went to Balanced Rock, and it's a popular part of the park. One of the most popular things in the park is to stop by Balanced Rock. And it's very popular, and it was really cool, and yeah, after that, or I shouldn't really be putting these in chronological order, but the Petrified Dunes viewpoint is very underrated. It's a very beautiful spot where you can see the windows section from the Petrified Dunes, and the Petrified Dunes themselves are very cool, and you can get a nice view of the La Salle Mountains from there, or the Salt Mountains, if I were to translate that into English. The window section, I got to see the windows, not some of Turret Arch, but just mainly the north and south windows there. Once again, another popular part of the park. After that, I also got to see Skyline Arch at sunset, which I do recommend. There's no one there, and you pretty much have it all to yourself, and unless this video blows up, but it's very nice. I was pretty much there by myself. Me and my family were just there by ourselves, and it was very calm and peaceful, and we got to see a lot of it was very beautiful. And after that, I can say that here, but we went to Sand Dune Arch after visiting Skyline Arch at dusk, and it was very beautiful. It's in the Fiery Furnace, and that's the only time I have explored somewhat of the Fiery Furnace in the park. And yeah, I would recommend doing Sand Dune Arch. I did try to get onto the little ledge behind it, but it was too slippery to get onto. But it's a nice little hidden arch. You don't know when you're gonna get there until you're there, so that's very worth it to do that hike. And I would also do Tapestry and Broken Arch if you were to do that with that loop right there. But I did not have the time to do that. And Delegate Arch, I got to hike to the Delegate Arch. Once again, a very popular part of the park, and a lot of people were there. It was pretty much spring break for a lot of people, so a lot of people were there, and it's very beautiful. It's worth the hike. I got to see all these cool plants, and I also saw my first cactus on this trail. And Devil's Garden, which is pretty much just Landscape Arch, Pine Tree Arch, and Wall Arch, which were all right there. And yeah, it's very nice. Once again, another popular part of the park. So on my second trip to Arches, I got to see the window section once again. This time just Turret and Double Arch. And I also got to see the Garden of Eden, which I very much recommend since it's not that far from the window section, and it's very beautiful, and I would suggest going there. The Delegate Arch Viewpoints I got to go to this time because I had already hiked it, and we didn't have time to hike to Delegate Arch. And the viewpoints are for people who still want to see the arch but don't want to hike the trail. It's still a nice viewpoint. You have to see the kind of drop off behind the arch as well, without going up to the arch to see it. And we also got to see the La Salle Mountains, the La Salle Mountains viewpoint, which is pretty much near the park entrance, but not a lot of people stop there. And it's a very beautiful place. You can get a nice view of the courthouse towers in the LaSalle Mountains and pretty much the surrounding red rocks. And Park Avenue is not far from that. It pretty much showcases Wall Street, which is just a bunch of rocks with going up and down, which is very beautiful. And there is also there's a trail that goes through there, which I would recommend doing, but I have not. I also got to see the window section, or the Devil's Garden again, doing the same things. So, what to expect when you visit Arches National Park? Arches National Park is very crowded. It sometimes can take up to an hour to enter the park if during the middle of the day, which is why I would suggest trying to go in the park early, like maybe sunrise, around that time. The park is very accessible, and some areas can be crowded, such as the window section, Delegate Arch, and the Devil's Garden and Balanced Rock. Those are usually the most popular areas, and you can expect crowds there. But mainly, it's a very accessible park. Most people can do it and go around. Mainly, a lot of the places that you're going to go to, like the Delegate Arch Viewpoint, you can hike a short trail up to the viewpoint, but if you can't hike that like kind of uphill trail, you can go to the one right by the parking lot. Balanced Rock, just a short little trail that goes slightly up a hill to see Balanced Rock in the window section, very accessible. And Devil's Garden's also very accessible. So the majority of the park is accessible from just a short walk. So it's a very accessible park. Okay, the Junior Ranger program at Arches National Park is really good. I would suggest doing it if you have kids that are interested in the park and are wanting to do it. So I got to do it when I went to Arches National Park 2 years ago for fall break. I didn't know about it until when I went to Arches the first time, but I would recommend doing the program. It's very easy. If you have kids, I would recommend doing it, having them do it. And you can also get this cool badge for completing the book, which it's always worth it getting these badges. Things I would suggest doing at Arches is definitely the Junior Ranger program. It teaches kids a lot about the park and just like pretty much the ecosystem the park is in, and other things that you're typically gonna hear from people are visiting the Delegate Arch Viewpoints, the window section, Balanced Rock, and Devil's Garden, mainly Landscape Arch. But I would suggest doing Skyline Arch. I would also recommend doing Skyline Arch, Sand Dune Arch, the Garden of Eden, the Petrified Dunes Viewpoint, Park Avenue, and the LaSalle Mountains Viewpoint. You can also, if you'd like to, get a ranger tour of the Fiery Furnace, which that's a really cool tour I have not taken, but I would really highly suggest doing that. But if you have an off-road vehicle, you can go into the Klondike Bluffs and see a lot of cool stuff that not a lot of people can go to. Would I ever go back to Arches? Definitely. There's definitely tons of stuff to do there, which I haven't experienced. And like, for example, going off-roading or taking a tour of the Fiery Furnace. The park has a large variety for people of all different difficulties or kind of levels of how much they want to experience. And yes, and if I were to, I already explained this last question I had for myself, but what would I do if I went back, like off-roading and at the Fiery Furnace? So thank you guys for watching. My next episode is on Timpanogos Cave National Park Monument, because that was the next one I went to. So hopefully that episode will be released on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. So I'll see you guys till then. Bye.